Hello, testing, testing, testing. Hopefully this is okay. We shall see. We shall see. Please excuse the laundry hanging up behind me. I did laundry today. Okay, so the title of this video is a little bit clickbaity, but that is for a genuine reason in that I have not seen this place talked about extensively online, and it was a wonderful experience that I think more people should know about, more people should go to, and if you have gone already, please let me know what you think and why you think this place is so slept on. We are talking about the Yokohama English Gardens. The Yokohama English Gardens are a garden. Unfortunately, I could not find a whole lot of information online about the garden as an institution, about its history, so that unfortunately is a little bit lacking. I really wish I could tell you more about it. I actually emailed the garden to see if I could get any more information, but that was like a day ago, and so they haven't gotten back to me, and also they might never get back to me, and that would be okay because I'm just like some random foreigner, so I would understand that too, and I don't hold that against them. So I went to the gardens at the very beginning of May. I'm now filming this in June, and May is the prime season for the Yokohama English Gardens. The garden specialty are roses. According to its website, it has over 2,000 varieties of roses, and that's just sort of the actual plants. That is a small estimate of the number of roses that actually bloom during the on-season. It is a spectacular experience if you have the pleasure of going. I was genuinely just blown away. The gardens are in Nishi Ward, which is kind of the center of a lot of Yokohama life. I believe it is also Nishi Ward that like Minato Mirai is in. The reason why I found the gardens was because I was looking up stuff to do in Yokohama. I was in like just some random website, and then on like the third page was the Yokohama English Gardens, and I clicked on that being like, oh, that sounds kind of interesting. And it turned out it was just a couple blocks away from my school. So I was like, bing, perfect. And I decided to go. Thank you. I scrounged up a couple of friends and I said, hey, there's this place I really want to go to. Let's make it a little afternoon trip. You approach the garden. There is all these roses. You buy your tickets, and then you sort of walk around the edge of the facility and you enter into the main house. As you are walking towards the main house, there is going to be like a cafe on your right, and then the gift shop is on the left. You don't look at those things, but you are going to go back to that cafe later and I'll talk about it. So you continue through, they check your ticket, and then you walk out. The layout of the garden is pretty simple to navigate. There is a main thoroughfare, and then off to the side there are two columns. So I do have a cute little anecdote for you. You know, I was walking with my friends through the gardens. We were taking our time. We were enjoying every single little pocket. We were taking tons of photos, and we were just getting to sort of the end. We were approaching the, there's a rotunda at the end of the corridor that we were approaching, but it was quite sunny in the rotunda, so we decided that we were going to sit right before the rotunda in a shaded area. So we were sitting down, we were talking about how beautiful the garden was, how lovely an experience it was, and just by chance, I decided to check the map to make sure that we had covered everything, and I opened the map up, and I realized that it was a lot bigger than what we had experienced. And that is when it clicked. If we had just continued on just a couple more feet towards the rotunda actually forks, and there is an entire second half of the garden to experience. The first half is mostly the rose garden. The second half had a very different personality, whereas the first half feels very, very meticulously planned. The second half, it is also meticulously planned, but it feels a lot more natural. It feels a little bit more overgrown, very thick vegetation. You can't really see beyond the paths. It's really cool. I recommend all of it. Hello everyone. I wanted to take a quick break from the video to plug some of my other projects. If you have come across this video in the wild, firstly, wow, I hope you're enjoying yourself. I make these videos to document my life in Japan, and it's been such a fun project. I really enjoy making them. However, it is not actually what I do for a living. I am an artist. I will flash some of my art on the screen, and you should check out my stuff if you're interested. You can find me on Instagram, or you can check out my website. And if you like my work, consider following me or buying a print or commissioning something from me. I am currently accepting commissions to fund my Japanese adventures. But also, if you don't want to do any of those things, that is totally okay too. I appreciate you watching the video and hanging out, and I hope you have a great day. And now back to the video. So once you are finished with the garden experience, you might think to yourself, hey, I've been walking around in the sun
or maybe the rain
for the last hour. I am a little bit peckish. And then you would want to go to the cafe. I've been telling everyone this, but I really feel like in the United States, when you have a cafe that is attached to another attraction, it's usually not a very good cafe. The cafe is just there to, sort of suck a little more money out of you and provide you with sustenance so that you can go and enjoy the other thing that you are actually here for. It's usually overpriced. It usually has like very kind of greasy, maybe not very good food. It's also pretty typical food like sandwiches, hot dogs, burgers, etc. It's not usually like a cuisine experience all on its own. But the Yokohama English Gardens said, no. They had various kinds of floral ice creams that are seasonal. So of course during May it was a rose ice cream, and they give it to you and it is adorned with crushed dried strawberries as well as edible flowers. It was beautiful. And then my friend got their roll cake that was filled with some kind of like lavender floral cream surrounded by sponge cake, of course, and it was so good. I mean, lavender can be a really overwhelming flavor, and this was just perfect. It was so delicious. And then we both each respectively got different kinds of floral teas. So overall, cafe, delightful. So since I could not find much history about the garden itself, I am going to take a moment to tell you a little bit about the history of Yokohama and maybe how it relates to the garden. So there are a lot of like travel Instagrammers and influencers and YouTubers who really prioritize and value spontaneity and going with the flow and being open to new experiences, all of which I think are really valuable, and I have no notes for them. I think that is like a great way to approach travel, especially when so many things can go wrong in travel. It's good to be a little bit flexible and to be able to embrace, change as it happens. If you can, though, I always recommend learning a little bit more about the place that you are visiting. This is my own sort of methodology and what I value, because I feel like when you understand, even on like a relatively surface research before you go to a place, you are going to appreciate it all the more because you understand the historical context that thing or that place has been developed in and what it has grown in. Grown in? A garden? Grown? Anyways, I'm really grasping at straws here. With this in mind, I've been doing, a little bit of research into Yokohama and its history as a city and a place where I am living now. We open the scene. It is the period of isolation, which I don't know much about. There you go, we're off to a good start. But this was a period, from what I understand, which is very limited, was a period in Japanese history where access to the outside world and trade with the outside world was very limited and government regulated. During this period, Japan only did trade with a very small and select number of countries, including, I think, like China and Korea, as well as the Dutch. There were many attempts over the course of the period of isolation to open up trades, but they were all in vain until the 1800s. So this period basically ended under gun threat. Matthew Perry, who was a Navy officer, arrived on the shores of Japan and essentially demanded that Japan open its ports, otherwise they would have war. That's so great. Good. The United States wanted to break up the trade monopoly that had been in existence during the period of isolation. They also wanted to establish supply stations for the whaling and fishing industry, and they also wanted to have a stopping point on their route to China. And so Japan was like a very strategic location, which is what justified, at least to them, the armed diplomacy. At the time, Yokohama was a very small fishing village just south of Edo, which was, modern day Tokyo. And it was chosen as the location for the new port in part because it was close enough to Edo that they had access to the goods that would be coming in and out of the port, but also it was far enough that the rulers at the time could potentially, at least theoretically, control, access between the foreigners and between the Japanese population. And that was the thought process at the time. And so Yokohama was opened as a port, and over the span of about 200 years grew into the second largest city in Japan as a result. Yokohama is, from its inception, a deeply international melting pot of a city. There have always been, large communities of foreigners living within the city walls, and that has really shaped the culture and personality of Yokohama. This is relevant, sort of. So the gardens are kind of a symbol not just of the feats of Japanese horticulture technology, but also of Yokohama as an international city. It is the English Gardens in the middle of a Japanese metropolis. My batteries are dying. I have to wrap this up. I just want to end on an anecdote, but I have moved entirely 4 times in my life. The first time I was 11 and my family moved to Prague. The second time was when I moved to Oregon for my college education. The third time was from Oregon to Denver for a new job. And then the fourth time was from Washington, my home state, to Yokohama. Now, the first 2 times were extremely difficult, in large part because I was a child, and I didn't have a whole lot of control over what was happening to me, and I didn't really know how to handle it. But the move to Denver was the first time when I really had the autonomy and the experience to build a methodology and a framework for thinking about travel and establishing myself in a new place and how I was going to approach that. I find myself in a new city by researching the history of that city, researching the history of its art, of its culture, and in doing so, I start to make sense of its personality and what the city likes and the things that it is known for and what I like and how my likes and me and Anna as a person can fit within the history of that city and of that place. I ask Yokohama as a guest here whether or not I can be a part of its history in this very sort of abstract, kind of lofty way, but in a way that's meaningful to me. And I like to imagine that in doing so, I'm sort of knocking on the door of the city and saying hi, I'm Anna, can I be here for a while, and can I love your city? And I like to think that the city opens its doors to me, and on the other side is the rich tapestry of Yokohama unfolding before me, much like a garden. I brought it back. You can't say that I didn't bring it back to the gardens, because I did. I did have to mix metaphors to get there, but I did it. So, thank you.